the trailer hooked up. Now we just gotta test the lights. All look good. And turn signals. All right, let's hit the road. Alright, so we're on our way to go pick up the car. Now, I'm really excited because it's been about a month since I dropped the car off for paint. And I know you guys haven't seen it before it was painted, but let me just tell you, it was awful. I'm going to put a picture right here. And as you can tell, it doesn't look too bad in pictures, and that was when I first got it. When I first brought it home, the transmission was out. It was a automatic, no forward gears. They were out, just had reverse. And the paint, I looked at it in the dark the next morning. When I looked at it more, the paint was definitely rough. It was sun faded, it was chipping, and then I came to realize it used to be white. Now, the whole car was white. Now, when I found out that it was white, it was because paint was coming off in like 3-inch chunks. I mean, chunks of paint. Take a wide turn there. And it was bad. It did not look good. I tried to touch it up with just rattle can because that's all I really had, without repainting the whole car, and I drove it for about a year like that. It was kind of embarrassing to drive because people would look at the car from 50 feet away and be like, oh man, it's a cool looking car. And then they come up to it and be like, oh geez, the paint looks awful. So I really only took the car out at night, because at night you couldn't tell what it looked like. And after about a year, and after taking it to Shark Fest last year and this year, before Shark Fest this year, I wanted to get the paint done finally. So I bit the bullet and sent it off to paint. I took all the trim and everything off myself, so it was easier for the paint guy to mask everything and just sand it down and paint it. I looked at it about a week ago, like 10 days ago, while I was in primer. It looked 1,000 times better. But today, I get to see it in the color that I chose for it. Now, I didn't go back to white. I didn't keep with the black. I went red. But I think the color I chose is a very good color. And it's going to stand out, but not too much in a way, you know? So, people are honking at people. I'm just excited. But anyways, let's continue the drive. To the place in a little bit here. There's not too many cars behind me because it's kind of a tight spot to turn around in there with the trailer, so I'm going to try and back right up into there. Should be right here. Yeah, back up into there. Car is inside, so let me back this trailer up. I will see you guys in there. Alright guys, so I don't know if you can see, but I got the BMW behind me. I'm leaving the paint now. It looks good. I'm really happy with this color, and I can't wait to see it all done together and driving on the road once again. Today it's a gloomy day, so I mean you can kind of see it, but one of these days when it's nice and sunny, I'm going to take it out and get a really good shot of it. But otherwise, the paint that was on this car was done up in the 90s, and they didn't really prep the car before they painted it black. They didn't do anything. I think they may have done primer. It didn't look like they did. And backstory on the car, I bought it, story time by the way, I bought it about over a year now. I bought it over a year in September of 2015, I think it was. And when I bought it, it only had reverse in the transmission. It wasn't automatic, it only had reverse, and I had to change the transmission out on it, and I ended up converting it over to a manual, which best thing I could have ever done with this car right there. Otherwise the engine ran great. The car odometer stopped at 260,000 miles somewhere back in the 90s, early 2000s, so I expected this car to have over 300,000 miles on the body and motor and transmission, hence transmission went out. I took the car down to Tennessee, Chattanooga later that last year in April. I took it down to Chattanooga, Tennessee for Shark Fest. Drove it down there, kind of drove a little hard down there and back, but I made it home. It was about a 10-hour drive, made it home. 2 weeks later, I let the car rest for about 2 weeks, didn't want to drive it too much, kind of took it out during the weekends. And I take it like 2-3 weeks maybe after I got home from Chattanooga, driving with my buddy, and all of a sudden, someone's knocking at the door. Metaphorically speaking, for the door, not the knocking. The knocking was coming from the engine, and I pull over in a parking lot and I shut the car off, and I'm debating, do I truck it home how it is, because it's probably already gone, the engine, and so I go to start it again, knocking got worse, and then I'm like, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to get it towed home. And luckily, I had a membership that gives me free towings for the year. The membership is $35 for the whole year, and I get unlimited tows for the year. It doesn't matter what vehicle I'm in. It doesn't even have to be my vehicle. I just have to be there when it gets picked up. So it was a good deal, because tows can cost $100, $200, and I was about 20 miles away from home, 30 miles away from home when it happened. And when I went to go start the car again to see if we can drive it on the tow truck or whatever, it was locked. It was dead. It would not move. I couldn't even spin it by hand. So I knew right then and there the motor was shot and I was gonna have to replace it. Tow truck driver got it home. I started taking it apart the next day. Couldn't find any signs of anything that would have shown why the engine was knocking until I pulled the motor out and I was ready to put the new motor in, which I got a junkyard motor with 160,000 miles on it, so like half the miles. Got the junkyard motor from an 86 6 Series, put that one in the car, and I found out that the old motor had dropped the valve. I knew it was burning oil, but it dropped the valve. When the valve dropped and the piston hit it, it broke the valve off halfway up its stem, fell into the cylinder. Oh look, a guy's towing a GTO. Nice. Anyways, I get distracted. So that valve destroyed, I think it was cylinder 2. Destroyed cylinder 2. There was a hole in the piston. I'm going to put a photo right here in the video for you guys. So as you can see, the chaos that happened in that cylinder, that moved to every cylinder. Every oil part, everything had a piece of metal in it, and it just destroyed that engine. There was no saving it. And if you did save it, it would have cost more than me just putting a new motor in there. So I got a junkyard motor, replaced the gasket seals, dropped that motor in there. I'll put a picture of it right here. And as you can see with that picture, a lot nicer motor. I ended up painting it blue, not black, because, well, I like blue, as you see from my trailer and my truck, even though I didn't want the truck blue, but I was happy with the blue. I wanted it to be different in the engine bay, not black so you couldn't see it. I wanted you to see it. So I made the block blue, changed all the gaskets, cleaned up the cylinders and everything. Motor ran fine. Now that's the motor that's in this car. I've been driving that motor probably 6 months now, roughly 6 to 8 months now in this car. That motor is going to be the one that goes down to Tennis, Georgia this year for Shark Fest. I just got to get the car back together. But anyways, that's a quick blip of the story about this car. And oh, also the car came from California, so it's virtually rust free. Some of these you see are rotted out, unbelievable amount, but this one is practically rust free. And if it does have rust, it's very minimal. And I just want to give you guys a quick recap of, not recap, but a quick backstory of the car and what has somewhat been done to it, and that I'm really excited that it's going to be home. When I get the car all back together and everything, I'm going to do a more in-depth review of it, and I hope you guys like it. So stay tuned for more videos of my 85 6 Series.